hey, I'm getting a bill from Rocky Mountain Power again. I'm not saving as much money as I thought I was. And it's a lot of it has to do with the changes that you've made in your current usage.
Hello everybody, Moises back here at the huddle with ES Solar. On today's episode, it's Solar Playbook. And we thought who we can bring to talk about this specific topic. And why not have one of our energy technicians here with us, explain a little bit more some processes, how the sales process takes place for solar. So this is Miles. Miles, I'm going to give you a few minutes to go ahead and introduce yourself so people get to know you a little bit.
My name is Miles Goodrich. I'm a regional sales manager here for ES Solar. I've been doing sales for, door-to-door direct home for a little over 10 years now. I love what we do. I love the opportunity to help people actually change their utility situation. So I'm excited to be here.
No, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here as well. So you've been doing for 10 years sales. Is it all been?
Yeah, it's just been solar.
Solar, okay.
So I have not done any other door-to-door. I'm not a pest guy or one of you alarm bros.
Okay. So what is one of the things that you have liked so far working here at ES Solar as an energy technician? Obviously our product, right? But what is one of the things that stands out more about ES Solar for you?
One of the biggest things that brought me here actually was the relationships that we have outside of just our clients, right? So Rocky Mountain Power partnership, gift card approved. We've been here a long time. And so my biggest move was I wanted to find a company that can do what they say they're going to do pretty easily. There's a lot of companies out there that don't, but they have done everything that they have done everything they said they would do for me.
Okay.
And plus some.
Okay.
But I know they take care of our clients too, so you guys are lucky.
Perfect, beautiful. Well, I appreciate that. So I guess the first thing is trying to tell people, I imagine when you go to homes, you talk about, on our social media, we talk about locking your rate, right? What does that mean, locking my energy rate? What does that mean? If I go, if you come to my house as a customer and you said, hey, we want to help you lock in your energy rate. What are you meaning? What does that mean?
So for utility companies out there, they raise their rates all the time. The biggest thing that we do when we go into somebody's home is locking your rate, okay? And all that means is you have a predictable payment. It stays the same every single month. So it's better for budgeting, for finances, right? And it makes sure that you guys actually know what you're spending on a month-to-month basis. And that's really all that is you know what you're going to pay and you lock in a rate by switching to solar power.
Okay. It's so crazy because I seen the rates here where we are in Rocky Mountain going up. Time of use now is a thing, right? And if you look at other states like California, there's so many different time of uses available. I got to see so many or a few customers, that have solar panels and their utility bill was still so high.
Yeah.
Explain that to me a little bit because, I'm trying to lock in my rate. I understand the meaning of if I get solar, I'm going to have a steady cost, right? And obviously if the utility increases the cost, I'm protected because of that.
Correct.
But what are some of the other changes that happens when a customer goes and gets a solar panel? What else have you noticed that has created their utility bill perhaps to go up, or why do they continue to get a power bill?
Depending on what you actually are using and doing at your home. Okay. So a lot of customers that we've gone into, or a lot of people that we've ran into, they have solar already from a previous solar company, okay? And that is something that ES does that I love, is we go in, we fix systems, we add things, we help, we actually help. But a lot of what people are seeing now is hey, I'm getting a bill from Rocky Mountain Power again. I'm not saving as much money as I thought I was. And it's a lot of it has to do with the changes that you've made in your current usage. A lot of people have added EVs, right? Teslas. I really don't know any other EV car. I drive a diesel truck. Hot tubs, family moving in, things like that, finishing a basement. So there's all these factors that go into play when you have solar and you're still receiving a bill. There's obviously the net metering that is continually being affected.
Right.
They change it constantly, and they just changed it again this March. So.
Oh, they did. Yep. What was that change?
So they went from about on average 50% to taking 50% of homeowners' power on the current net metering program to 70% for 6 months, and I believe it's like 65 the other 6 months.
The other 6 months.
So that's the problem with the current net metering program, which is what we do to help you guys in your situation. Is if you don't have a backup battery, it allows you to store the power instead of sending it back to Rocky Mountain Power and them just saying thank you so much.
Right. Well, one of the things that and I appreciate that because I got my system. I didn't have an EV car. Then I went and got a car, right? So then my cost went up, my consumption went up, right? So, and eventually I added a couple more rooms into my house as well. So obviously consumption is going up. My rate, my cost went up, and I had to add more panels, right? And the battery has been amazing because it helps me to understand my usage even more, right?
So the app helps with that too.
Yeah, exactly. It helps a lot, and all this time of use, it allows me, tell me when I can charge my car, or suggest when I can charge my car, when not to charge my car because of that cost. So it's pretty good. And one thing that I tell people, at the end of the day, you always gonna end up paying for electricity, right?
Yeah.
So you can either pay it to the energy company or utility company, or you can buy a system and pay it off. And
you will pay for power one way or another.
Right. So we get that a lot. It's like, well, I'm never gonna stop paying that system. It's the same thing with the utility bill. You're never gonna stop paying that utility bill.
Never stops.
It never stops. It's gonna be coming in, and either we get prepared for the rates going up, or we don't. Like you were saying, locking your rate. So what are some of the benefits? I mean, I did real estate, and it was always, would you rather lease, rent, or own your system? What is the best way to tell somebody about power? What's better, leasing or owning your system? Or
a lot of that has to do with like where you are at geographically. Obviously, we're in Utah, so I am an ownership guy through and through. I don't want people to touch my stuff. Right? What's mine is mine. Don't touch it. Leasing, we don't. I'll just start here. Leasing in general is very different than owning, obviously, right? It's kind of like leasing a car. You go in, the dealership takes ownership of that car, you guys make the monthly payment, and at the end of that term, it's usually 3 years, you can either buy it back or you just hand it back in and get a new one, okay? With leasing, there's little to no money up front, okay? It's all based off of your credit score, okay? So keep an eye out for your credit score. But owning is obviously the win, right? Lots of you guys out there that own your own home, you purchased your home for a reason. You want ownership. You want to be able to fix the things and upgrade things and do what you want to do to your own stuff. And that's really what owning a solar system looks like, right? You can either pay cash for it, so depending on how that looks for you guys financially, pay cash for it, or we have financing options available. And that's really the difference, right? So leasing, we don't do a lot of that in Utah, but right now it's one of those options where we can specifically tailor it to you guys, but it depends on the situation that you guys are in. But I'm an ownership guy through and through.
Okay. And I appreciate it because you're right. At the end of the day, it's what they want, right? What they prefer and what makes sense for their home.
Absolutely.
A lot of time, there's different options, but not every option is going to be the same for everybody because it all comes down to their consumption. It all comes down to how they use their power, how they use electricity. And obviously, you mentioned, it all comes down to your credit, right? Sometimes it's hard for some people to do that, right? And it's beautiful that we have that option as well if somebody doesn't. But it is true. I mean, credit it's a big
If
thing.
you don't have good credit score, I hope you just have stacks of cash, okay?
Here we go.
That's the solution.
Nice. And so tell me, being upfront, tell me a little bit just that process. You come into my house to try to educate me, because obviously I'm probably not going to be full aware. What is your process when you come into somebody's house to talk to me about solar?
I mean, really, the process is we want to make sure that it's a good fit for you guys. That's really all that we care about. That's what my team is. That's their goal, is to make sure that they fulfill your care and your needs and everything like that. So with the process, we obviously take a look at your power bill, right? That's the biggest part to solar power in general. And we see how much power you're consuming. Now, I will point out, when we build it, right, our goal is to build it for your 12 months of usage that you've shown us. Don't go buy an EV charger after it's done. Don't go buy a hot tub, okay? This is specifically tailored to your guys' usage in 12 months, okay? So we take those pictures, we take pictures of your electrical, the meters outside, and we just double check and make sure there's everything kosher on that side. So we send all that to the proposal team. They build it out. We come back a few days later or the next day, and we show you guys what numbers looks like. And 99% of the time we can make it make sense, right? And the other 1% is, there's always circumstances versus not necessarily objections or anything like that. But there are circumstances for people where they are moving in a year or 6 months, right? They have a bankruptcy on file. That's not something, that's 4 years for most banks. So there's circumstances where we aren't able to help people.
Okay.
But there's a reason why thousands of people are doing it weekly.
Nice.
And we love it.
Perfect. It's so crazy because I remember, before I started working for the company, I was an actual customer, which is super cool, man. But I remember when I was receiving or getting bids from other companies, it was high pressure sales for some of the other companies. They wanted to lock me in and get me to sign right then and there. And I'm like, well, you haven't given me any information. You haven't told me, you only gave me an idea, but you're telling me this is how much it's gonna cost, right? And I said, I need a little bit of time to think about it. This is gonna be a cost, and it's gonna be a long-term cost, right? So I wanna make sure that it makes sense. And then ES Solar came in and started asking me questions, asked me for my power bill, took some pictures about my electric panel and all these different things, and said, hey, let's see what we need. Let me look at things. Let me look at your roof, make sure that it works out and it's good.
Yeah.
And then it was so amazing, the fact they came back and said, you know what? To be able to get panels, you're gonna have to do the electrical upgrade. And I was panel upgrade. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? I said, don't worry, we'll add it all into your cost. We'll take care of it, but it's needed if you really want to do this. So that was what attracted me about ES Solar, that they were not pushy. They were telling me what I needed to do first, and they needed to find out what else I needed for my house, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about ES Solar. So I appreciate you talking about that. So what do you think right now, with that in mind, what do you think right now it's a good time, or why do you think homeowners are going solar? Why is this a good time to do it now?
Well, to kind of touch on the pressure of a lot of solar companies in the industry, that is not ES's move, or that is not the way here, which is really cool that you actually were a customer before you started working here, because you actually got to see that process.
Yeah.
That's something that I love, right? The actual relationship that we build with our clients and the customers that we have. We want to make sure that it is a good process for you, right? Nobody's perfect, but we try pretty dang hard to make sure that you guys have the best experience possible, like Moy had. Yeah. And so we look at the electrical for that reason, right? A lot of the times, if we're doing an electrical upgrade, it's for the safety of the home, right? Whether it's an older home or, hey, not enough breakers or whatever that case looks like, we're doing that for a purpose, okay? Right. And so for you guys, it's, as homeowners, the reason that so many people are doing it, not only is cost, but the programs have gotten so much better over the last 6 months, where yes, we've dealt with tax credits and those things going away, but now we have a program that is completely different than what it looked like before.
Right.
It's helping people make that switch like they wanted to in the past, but it wasn't really affordable, or things just didn't pencil out financially for them. And now it's making perfect sense for most everybody. And so you see our trucks around, you'll see batteries being installed. There's a reason that people are doing it in droves like they are. And a lot of it has to do with Rocky Mountain Power, right? Their rate increases. And I show this to clients all the time, is it's on their website, right? Rocky Mountain Power was 10.96 cents in 2024, and then they were 12.89 in 2025, and now they're 14.31 in 2026.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing the actual increases, right? They're publicly displaying it. And when we show people that, it's sometimes it's a shocker.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we did a home show this past weekend. We had people, they have no idea what time of use was. They have no idea how having a system, like a solar system, can benefit them, or even having a battery, right? And this is the reason why we're doing this, trying to educate people, trying to allow them make an educational decision if solar is for them, right? But at the end of the day, the best way for someone to find out is having somebody go into their home. If you're really interested, for me, I remember my power bill, because I have kids, my power bill was expensive,
Absolutely.
So when I went into solar, my cost was gonna be a lot less. And I understood that I was gonna still receive a power bill through certain times throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I saw the benefit, because my rate on my system was locked, but then the cost of electricity kept going up.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to see that jump because I got a battery and I have a solar panel. So definitely, I mean, it's a great thing to look at it. One thing that scared me, and you probably get this a lot, how much do I have to pay up front? What is that cost?
No, honestly, we leave that up to you guys. Right? You guys can just flood us with money if you really want to. No, in all seriousness, the programs itself is no money up front. Okay. Unless you really do want to pay cash for it and be done. It's such an easy process now with the banks that we use and the options that we have. It's all just based on whether or not you qualify for the programs that we have, right? Simply like when you buy a home or you go in to rent a home and you're setting up new utilities, they say, hey, this is what we're doing for deposit or anything like that. With solar, it's the same. You guys can put money down, you can just finance it, whatever you guys choose to do. But there is no money out of pocket or no money up front.
Yeah. Okay.
Not no money out of pocket. You guys will pay something. I promise.
So with that in mind, one of the topics that it's new for this year, it's tax credit, right? It went away. I mean, the big beautiful law or bill. Yeah. It's here. How do you inform people that you go to their house, and they probably are aware that went away?
Yeah.
Explain to me a little bit that process.
So a lot of people in Utah already know that the residential solar tax credit went away. And for whoever's watching this, I'm assuming you already know. If not, you're welcome. Now you know. That went away December 31st of last year. Okay. So the big beautiful bill came into effect. I want to say it was in July or June of last year. But really all it did is make it to where residential homeowners could not qualify for the tax credit anymore. Okay. But the best part about it is corporations and companies are still able to receive the federal credits. And so what we've done is we've partnered with a couple companies that will basically prepay that balance for you.
Okay. So you still get that?
You still get the tax credit.
Okay.
We're just prepaying it for you. And it's not necessarily a discount, it's just you don't have to pay as much. It's a less expensive cost now for the total project, which is why so many people are looking at it again. Because I don't want to use the word cheaper, because cheaper reminds me of flimsy stuff that you can just break. But it's a less expensive total project cost now, because they're the two companies that we partnered with are just prepaying that balance for you. And it works really well. And
Is this something similar to where I have to wait for my taxes next year so I can claim it, or is it just
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's actually the best part, is there's no wondering if you're going to receive a tax credit now. We're just going to give it to you up front. There's no, hey, hopefully your accountant can figure things out for you. Sign here, and wash our hands of it. No, that's the best part is simply we just give it to you up front.
Yeah.
And it's lower from day one.
Beautiful. So thank you so much for answering. And I wanted to touch a little bit on that topic just because, I did it when I had to file it for my taxes. I needed to qualify and all those different things. And it was a process, right? Because now I have to go to my tax expert, help me out, do all those things.
Absolutely.
And now it's a little bit different. So you no longer have to worry about that.
You no longer have to worry about that.
Beautiful. So now you get that discount or the lower cost up front because of what the companies are doing. And so I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So
absolutely.
I'm watching this video with you. Give me a couple of tips on how, if I'm really thinking or looking into solar, what would be some of the things that I should look for? Company-wise, price-wise, warranty-wise, what are some of the tips that you'll give me to try to find the right company to go and get a solar system and a backup battery?
So being in the industry so long, I feel like it's a long time. There are people who've been in here longer. A lot of what I tell clients and past clients is company matters more than the money you're going to spend. Okay, and the reason I tell people that is solar companies are a dime a dozen, in my opinion. There's over 200 in the state of Utah, and so we cover a huge market for there being that many solar companies.
Right.
But you definitely want to look at the company and how long they've been in business. Obviously, look at reviews. Look at the bad ones too. Like nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But you do want to look at the reviews that are rough and see the responses to them. Right? Have we fixed those problems? And for the most part, we do. You want to look at partnerships and approval ratings and BBB and all of that stuff. We're partnered with Rocky Mountain Power. Right? That's one of the reasons I actually came to ES Solar was having a partnership with a utility company is massive for any solar company. You want to find a company that other companies believe in as well, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting because now obviously we offering, Tesla batteries, right? And it's just a change from a couple of years ago where we are now with Tesla as well, and the kind of partnership that we have, and all of our installers, how they're certified with Tesla to be able to install and offer the batteries. It's just so beautiful how all these different things have helped ES Solar to become who we are and how big we're gonna be, right? I mean, we're getting bigger as every year goes by. So definitely, I appreciate you providing those tips and thank you so much for being here. This is just a small, short version of, locking your rate. Obviously, doesn't make sense leasing or owning versus renting, right?
Absolutely.
Look at certain companies, like he said. For me, I'm gonna tell you the truth is I wanted to look for a company that was gonna be here longer, but more importantly, that if something went wrong, was gonna help me to fix my problem, and I didn't have to jump and call 2, 3, 4 different companies. Yeah. And when I was looking for my own bids, that's what I found. A lot of companies work with third-party companies, so now I felt like I was gonna, if something went wrong, I may have to call 3, 4 different people to get to that, right?
It's a one-stop shop here.
Yeah, exactly. So. And that's it, right? Sometimes you buy cheap, you're gonna get that, right? I made some mistakes by doing that. And
we all have.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes it's okay to spend a little money, right? But at the end of the day is what you feel more comfortable with as a customer and everything. So we appreciate you guys watching. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask us any questions. Like and subscribe to this video as well. And if you wanna see or hear more, please let us know. Miles is here. I mean, he's on our area. He's a great person. So
thank you, brother.
We're closing it down. So thank you so much for
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.